All right, what's up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again, and we are live. We are live. Let me see if I can do something music wise. I don't think I can. Hold on. I think there is something that I can do music wise. Crap. How can I add a track somehow? Let me see if I can add a track. No, can I add a track here? No, yeah, I would have to add a track here, but where could I add a track from? Let's do this. No, I don't want to, because I know that'll mess up the experience. Do I have any music at all on here? See if I have any music. No, I don't have any music, which sucks, but don't worry about it. I tell you what, let me see something. Let me see something. Let me see something. I think I have an idea. Bear with me. Hold on. Let me go to another screen, and I think we might have a solution. Bear with me, man. Find this thing. This really what I can do. I believe I can. So bear with me. Hold on one second. I'm still here. Bear with me. I'm going to do something. I think I can get some music. So let me minimize this. Let me pause it. Minimize this. Let's see, Windows. Let's go to here. You know what? Ooh. There we go. Bear with me. Audio, songs, streams, YouTube safe audio. Let's listen to this. See if it's. Woo! Oh God, that is loud. Hold on 1 second. Basic or space X. Arrow. We'll go with this one. Okay. Okay, I gotta mute this. All right, and then I gotta bring it down some because it's loud. Where's the volume at? Okay, I think that's good. Can we loop this? How do we loop this? Can we loop this? Beat one. Okay. There we go. All right. So I think we're in a good space with that. And I think now we can do this. All right. Okay, so we got some audio. He says, what impressions do you have after 12 hours? Cold Blood, let me know how that sounds. How does that sound, man? How does the music sound? Is the music too overbearing or what? Just let me know. All right, so it's so weird. I haven't podcast without hearing music in such a long time that now it's like next to impossible for me to do it. I feel so weird. All right, so there's one more thing that I need to do. Dang, and I hate to do this. I got to switch the screen on y'all again. Hold on. I hate to do this to you. Bear with me. I got to switch the screen on y'all one more time. Bear with me. Sorry. There's one more thing I forgot to do. Okay. All right. So let's do this where we minimize this and then we go back here and then I got to open up. I'll have this together next time. Why is it? Cheats. Okay. Yeah, I'll take all this out. Working. All right. Let me bring this down a little bit so y'all can see. Okay, now we're in a good space. Now I'll bring it here. Okay, he says good. Okay, all right. So now that I can bring it here, let's do this. Okay, so now y'all can see my spreadsheet. Y'all should be able to see it. This is my rating system on the game. I'm gonna go through this rather quickly. And then let's pause this. I'm gonna go through that rather quickly and then we'll talk on the back end. All right. So what I do is, let's go to this legend. What I do is I grade games on 4 scales. I don't know, this scale continues to not be highlighted. Let's fix that right now. Let's give that a color. Okay, there we go. All right. So the 4 scales are visual implementation, product placement, game design, or game depth, I'm sorry, and game mechanics. Coldblood gets on me because I don't make story a pillar. I don't think story is a pillar of every single game. Like, if I'm playing Pac-Man, why do I care about the story? You know what I mean? To where I might be playing, like in his example, I might be playing Persona or Final Fantasy where story is key. So story is embedded in game depth. It's also can be embedded in the product placement, because if you tell me that I'm getting a story enriched product and it's not, you're gonna get dinged there. If you tell me I'm getting one and the story is great, you'll get pluses there. You know, game design, level design, game length, replay factor, broad appeal. I think story would attach more to like the broad appeal part of it if the story is relevant. So that's how I rate my games. Now, my brother Coldblood Sensei, he was like, "Nah, man, I don't like how you do this." And I mean, I understand where he's coming from because of the type of gamer that he is. But what I try to do is create a one-size-fits-all for every gamer. So when I break this down, regardless of where I land, I'm able to break down all of the core elements of the things that you may be looking for in said game. And I can let you know what's there and what isn't there. You know what I mean? So if I'm playing a game like Final Fantasy, when I get to my points of where I'm breaking things down in the game depth, then I'm going to be talking about how important the story is, or how good it is, or how much I care about the characters, all that stuff, right? But when I put my personal stamp of approval or disapproval on it, I'm basing it mainly off of these things. So we try to do a one size fits all. Some people it'll be a perfect fit for, some it'll be a little snug, some it'll be a little tight, but everybody will be able to put the pants on, right? One size fits all. And our grading scale is like this. Our grading scale is like, you can get over 100%. Like, you can do so well overall in those key aspects to where, you know, you might even go over 100%. And that's what we call, well, this used to be the New Age faction. We still kept the name for what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Celebratory purposes or remembrance purposes of when we first started doing this thing. We used to do it for a publication called New Age Faction. So it was called the Faction Excellence Award. Anything that was 100 up, or those are your 10 games, your games with a perfect score. That doesn't mean that the game is perfect, but it hits so perfectly on so many key elements that overall the experience is just unbelievable. It's the highest you can get. But there's different levels to that still. So you can have a game that's 100%, but a game that's 103% in our eyes, because there are just some games that even at that top S tier, they're different. Some are different. Some are genre defining in a way that will change gaming forever. Some are genre defining in just in how enjoyable they are. Like, let me give you an example. If I were to look at God of War, and let's just say God of War scored a 10 in my book. God of War's 10 to me would be different from a BioShock 10. Why? because God of War, if God of War was a 10 to me, which I don't think I scored it a 10, but I gave it a really good score. If God of War is a 10 to me, then BioShock, if God of War is like 100% to me, BioShock would be like 105. Like I put BioShock at the pinnacle. Okay, what just happened? Oh, okay. I would put BioShock at the pinnacle of games because it changed how we game. To where God of War has a great story, great game mechanics, great level design that's just put together a lot of familiar aspects that are put together so great to where it did influence the industry, because now you're seeing a lot of over the shoulder, Sony style games that are hitting the foray, but it didn't revolutionize how we play. But BioShock took familiar elements but put it together in a way that we've never seen before, where God of War is a genre defining experience because of its execution. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, BioShock had more of an impact, which gives it more of a score above 100, but that's my opinion. I'm still going to lay out everything as it is, what's available in the games, what's not available, you know what I'm saying, what could have been there based upon how it was marketed, all that stuff is still going to stay the same. But when I put my stamp of approval of it, I'm sitting there basing it upon impact. So that's why games can be over 100, because I'm basing over impact. Like Breath of the Wild, I don't have much experience with those games, just a little because my son has a Switch. I think those are games that are getting 100 because, or 10s because of execution, not so much because they're changing how you play, how games are being made, what people are focusing on. So to be fair, if I look at it, a Breath of the Wild, if that were to be a 10 in my book, that would be a flat. I mean, that would be 100. That would be a flat 100, opposed to a God of War. That's like, maybe I would give that 103, because it did change elements of the type of games that we get. It did have an influence where Zelda is just, the execution is great, but it didn't have long reaching, aspects to it, to where it's changing how people develop games, to where BioShock completely flipped the game upside down as far as action and mixing action and RPG game. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that would be a 107 opposed to 103. God of War opposed to a flat 100, which is all still stellar, top of the echelon. Man, unbelievable. You must play this type of stuff. But even when you get there, I think even at the highest echelons, you still, I think the nerds still are going to separate. The catalogers like myself are still going to separate even at the top tier, right? 95 to 99% is kick-assery. 90 to 94% is great. 87 to 89% is real good. 83 to 86% is pretty damn good. 80 to 82% is pretty good. 70 to 79% is okay. Then when you get below 77%, that's when we're like, you know what? More positives than negatives, but the negatives do glare more than we like. 75 to 76% is like, it's problematic, but not too bad. 72 to 74% is heavily flawed. Try at your own risk. 68 to 71% is, look, it just ain't cutting it. Our review scores have a high requirement. You 68 to 71%, we're like, look, just ain't cutting it. 65 to 67%, okay, what the F is this? And then anything under 65% is what we call the U-Bowl Award. If you don't know who U-Bowl is, look him up. I'm not going to spend all day explaining that here. So that's our rating system. It's important to know that before we get into why we're saying and rating what we're rating and saying. All right, so my first 2 days with this, what the hell is this? My first 2 days with this game, or my first 2 days actually playing this game, the overall score I gave it was like 7.5s, right? I said fair experience overall. The positives were the depth of gameplay. Like, you could do a bunch of stuff in these Fallout-esque type games. Enhanced BSG, so the visuals did look better. And the gunplay since the beginning of the game was like noticeable. It was improved for a BSG game, and it was enjoyable to a degree. And then when I got to my second day, it was like, depth of gameplay, enhanced visuals, and the gunplay were still the positives, but the negatives both days were lack of VATS, exposes AI flaws. AI generated landscapes are not engrossing. You know what I'm saying? So when you go journey these planets and you're looking at these tiles, very boring. Like, even still now that I'm enjoying it more than now, I'll get into how much I'm enjoying it now. When I go do the AI, when I think about journeying, I cringe. I'm like, do I even want to go there? I wish it would just let me fast travel even to the unknown places. And if I want to journey and walk across the barren land and scout resources, give me that option too. I'd rather just go, go within a closed vicinity. I really don't want to walk across these places, this barren land. You know what I'm saying? Boring space battles. I don't like the space battles. I just think that they're stupid. Slow pacing in game rev up. So the game was starting off slow. That was like the first 5 hours. Then I got into the next like 5.5 hours, and then I have another like hour and a half that I'm gonna talk about, where I was like, the experience is good. Level design in the buildings was good. Like, I like the corridor shooting. I should add that. Great level design, and I'll put that because I'm stealing that from Cold Blood. And corridor combat. Oh shit! Come on, freaking caps lock. Corridor combat. Charming firefight gameplay loop. Like, it's kind of janky, but at the same time, it's enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like, it has its own charm to it. Cool experience played linearly with side missions. Like, when I approach it, like if I approach this game like a Crisis 2, I'm looking for loot, or I'm looking for ways to upgrade my character. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do a little bit of journeying here and there, or I'm going to run into a side mission here and there. But it's more or less like I'm getting the most out of this game in the FPS action and the shooter action. That's the best way to approach this game, and you can get some type of satisfaction from it. Negatively, it's broken in immersion due to staggered exploration experience. Loot gaining is held back by poor inventory control and UI. Enemy AI is not diverse enough. Where are the brute soldiers and stuff? Like, I keep running into the same type of space soldiers. And that's the same 12 hours into the game. If I were to look at, even though this is the ratings 10 hours into the 10.5 hours in the game, same way I feel now. Visual implementation, I gave it 8.2. It's okay visuals and character models, improvements over previous Bethesda games. Oh shoot. Come on. Stop. However, nothing all around stellar. And that said, certain surfaces, particularly guns and in buildings, look good, and physics at times respond well. Product placement. You know what? I feel like I'm being, now that I'm looking at that, that's a little bit too much. The product placement, it's going to be hard for this to get over a 7. Unless they do so well in other places to where we're like, okay, it's not that much of an impact on the game. But the product placement, we feel that how this game was advertised opposed to what you get is key. Because we're tired of gamers getting duped. The product placement is a 7 out of 10 or a 70 out of 100 to us. What do I mean by that? The game's advertised theme is large exploration that rivals prior BSG games, Bethesda Software's games. This is less of a culmination of prior works. Like, this is less of an addition, a mutation of, you know, exploring and the density and the population and you going and finding so much stuff that you're just, oh my God, you're over. No. You don't get that. Even though the areas that you're exploring are larger, you don't get that population density of things to explore, which makes it pointless to me. Like I said, there's a lot of barren land that you got to go across. Who cares? Like, if that's the case, and it's all about, well, why don't you just go mine? You know, you can go across the planets and mine. Why not just have the mining in the caves or in the place, you know what I'm saying, surrounding the areas that I discover? I don't care about mining so much where I'm doing monotonous, stupid, silly things. It kind of reminds me of the planet fracking in Mass Effect 2. The planet fracking in Mass Effect 2 was horrendous. That's why it's not my favorite in the series. It was a filler. Like, I want to say I spent a third of the game fracking. That is stupid to me. It bloated the gameplay for hours that were unnecessary because there wasn't nothing immersive about fracking planets. It was dumb and boring. And this is dumb and boring as well, going over barren land and just shooting down rocks. It's stupid. For an action game of this caliber, it's dumb. But the problem is it's needed. It's essential. It's not something extra. I could see if in order for me to build my ship, if I wanted to do like I don't know, what is the name of that game? Where you're like farming on if I wanted to do, okay, this is what I don't like about, an element I don't like about BSG games since they added this. It started with Fallout 4, where Fallout started adding Minecraft elements to it. Like, I don't want to build houses or build things like that. I just want to play the game. Now, if I can build a little space, a fortified fort, and it's giving me supplies and things like that, that's cool, but that's taking away from the journeying and stuff. That's what really makes the game shine. So I didn't like that part of the game, and I never got into it, but the way Bethesda did that, I didn't have to. Now I got a ship. I need a bigger ship. And in order for me to enhance my weaponry and my suits and stuff like that, I have to go mine. So unlike Bethesda games in the past where I would just basically break down old items, old equipment, and take the elements from those old equipments and then apply them to crafting and stuff like that, I now have to go get these elements. So now I got to do the stupid and mundane to where Bethesda properly didn't force me to do the stupid and mundane. You see what I'm saying? To me, that's not cool. So the exploration and the mining was all the Minecraft elements that they added to Fallout, which was the mundane stuff for a lot of gamers that we just ignored and just got engrossed in the game and the enemies and the real exploring and discovery and stuff like that. Now it's part of the game. Now you're forced to do it. So now you got all this hours of shooting and fighting and enjoying what you're doing. And then you're like, okay, this helmet is cool, but I need to add some more stuff to it because I'm getting hammered, man. These enemies are OP. I got to upgrade to this armor. Now you got to, now instead of just being able to break down other stuff, now you're forced to do the stupid and mundane. But the thing is, that wasn't supposed to be so stupid and mundane. This was supposed to be a BSG game that gave you options, that gave you a variety of options of how to approach your needs, right? But because there were so many options, you were bound to find the way of play that suits you. Still kind of here, but sadly, I've had to reduce it down so much to I want to play this more like a shooter than anything. Because I don't want to do the journey, which is sad for a BSG game. And now it's getting to the point to where I don't even want to upgrade anything because I don't want to go looking for mining rocks and stuff like that and fracking planets or whatever the stupid stuff they're going to have me doing. That is mundane. There should have been a way for me to get these elements, like for me to discover a lot of them. Like if I wanted to take the journeying path, like if I need a whole bunch of ore or iron or whatever, I should have been able to take the journeying path and discover them. Or I can mine them. If I get an enjoyment out of mining, like doing some of that mundane stuff like people do, what is that Nintendo game where you can go fishing and plant your crops and do all the other stuff? I can't remember, but it's like Minecraft. You can do some of that mundane stuff too. Well, I can gather my resources that way, or I can just explore by journeying, by going in caves, maybe coming across ore. I don't mind mining for ores in a cave where I'm, got a firefight coming. It breaks up the monotony. You see what I'm saying? But this game doesn't play that way. It forces you to have to go do that monotonous stuff instead of just being able to play the way that you want to play and get the resources you need that way. That is not atypical with the Bethesda game, but that's what you have to deal with here. So that is important. And because that's important, it relates so much to the product placement, where the product placement made it seem like that you were getting the core elements of a BSG game, but just in hype on steroids. And that's not it. Elements of BSG games were extracted and thrown into this big bloated space that has tiles and mundane activity that they've added. And they've made more core than gamers like me will appreciate. So because of that, total deviation, well, I want to say total, in majority ways, a deviation from how it was marketed, the product placement gets a 7. It was really important for me to focus on it. I don't want to say that the product placement or the poor product placement is underscores the entire experience. It doesn't, but it's key. All right, now we're gonna get to game depth, where I actually gave the game depth an 8.5. I feel like, before where I gave it a 7.5, I said the game's gunplay has some of its own special charm. Coming across new loot is often rewarding. The game loop of inquiring on secrets for more loot has become more satisfying. That said, enemies' playstyle has become redundant. I do enjoy the gunplay, but again, where's the brute officers? Where's the mini bosses and stuff like that? Like, I get that I can go fight animals in the wild, but who wants to? Like, again, that part of it is something I don't want. So where are the big mini bosses that I got to fight at the end of? I might run across them, but 12 hours in, I haven't so far, right? So it's like, that said, enemies' playstyle has become redundant. Inventory system is a mess, and it gets in the way of enjoying loot gathering. Game exploration is still a bust, disjointed in comparison to other BSG titles, making you focus on a more linear play. Game mechanics, I gave an 8.5. The game control and responses are solid, no noticeable bugs. The menu AI is bad, Unfortunately, the tutorials are not exact enough to walk you through it at the beginning, I should add at the beginning, without unnecessary complication. However, the learning curve of the game at this point should be surpassed, and now mishaps like this do not get too much in the way. All right. With that said, my overall score is an 8.05, where I say, again, an 8.05, that's like an 80% to between an 80 and 82. Pretty good. Pretty good. So even with my tough, rigorous scores, they fall in line with the Metacritic. I think an 8.5 Metacritic is fair. Or an 85 Metacritic score is fair. The game is okay. The game is pretty good. Well, no. I'm sorry. My playthrough, and I'll change this because this was, I'm gonna say the hour and a half that I just played included that experience as well. 7 hours, the additional 7 hours on top of my original 5. I'm gonna say I felt like that the gameplay was, that particular gameplay was pretty good, which brings my overall experience so far to a 7.82, where if you go back to the legend, that's okay. It's okay. Like when you balance everything out, it's okay. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there are issues, but now that the game, and it started off rough, but now that the game has brought in some cool firefights, some cool enemy interaction, the loot, it's cool. I think the loot is cool. Cold Blood pointed out that they even overhype on the loot. Like normally when you see certain names and certain colors that stand out in Bethesda games, you got some bad ass loot. Not this time around. You know what I'm saying? Not this time around. So I see something, I see a name, and then I go look at the actual elements of the loot that I picked up, and I realize it's not as good as it looks on the surface. So I think it's an okay experience. Okay means that you're enjoying it. It's not stellar altogether, not yet. I'm 12 hours in. It's okay, and I'm enjoying it. If they continue on this path, then I can see the overall score landing either at pretty good or pretty damn good at best. If they continue on this path, the game will land for me at pretty good. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see. I'm 12 hours in. I don't see the game landing for me beyond pretty damn good, which is good. Pretty damn good is good. That being said, the things that are needed I think that the best this game will land, even if it does fix issues, is real good. Like real good. It can't reach great or kick-assery or it's not going to get there because of how the journeying is messed up. That's what blocks off those higher echelon scores. Like I just played a mission where I was in a building. The level design and the corridor fighting in the building was great, but then the game then sent me to another planet. Sent me to another planet to go check on some people, then come back to them. Why? Like, why couldn't I have gone a little bit up, travel? You know what I'm saying? Like an old Bethesda game would have said, go up the road a little bit, find our other people, come back here. And then along the way, I would have been presented with enemies, trying to flank me, take me out. That would have been an engrossing experience. And then I would have been presented with maybe a sewer or a cave or something where I can go off that beaten path just for a little bit, see what's going on there. That is a connected, engrossing experience that fully fulfills the journeying aspects that made Bethesda software games so great. Making me get in my ship, deal with those load screens or deal with that crap, go to another planet for something that you could have just embedded right there, to me was stupid, silly, and it cuts into the immersion. It was a pointless need. That is because if the exploration, if me going to planet was dope, if the firefighting in the sky was dope, if the traveling was seamless and not riddled with loading screens, if it reminded you kind of like what Star Wars Outlaws kind of looked like, if it was like seamless like that and dope to travel in space, kind of like GTA. Imagine if in GTA when you get in your car and there's a loading screen, right? And then you're sitting at the steering wheel and you're like, do you want to drive? Look in the passenger seat, look in the back seat, look in the glove compartment, or drive. And then you say, okay, I'm doing all this. I want to drive. So that's another loading screen, right? Then you got to select the part of the highway that you want to drive to. I want to drive the I-79, Southern I-79. So instead of just driving to I-79, you warp there, right? You warp to a vicinity close to that, to I-79. That's another loading screen. And then you have this little bit of space that you can navigate around and shoot people. Like it's like 2 blocks that you can navigate around. Now, you can navigate further, but let's just imagine that your car can only move at 5 miles per hour. Like you can drive that mile, like the final loading screen will put you within a mile, or the next to the last final loading screen will put you within a mile of your destination. You can drive there, but the car is only moving at 5 miles per hour. That's Starfield. And anybody that tries to tell me, oh, the journeying is fine. No, that is problematic. That cuts the immersion. It's not seamless. Grand Theft Auto also claims that you can have seamless driving and you can go wherever you want. Imagine if there was so many loading screens and so much stuff chopped into that. I get it's space, but still this is supposed to be the future. Give me a quick look. I mean, if I'm going to go into, I understand going into hyperdrive or going light speed. If I'm going into light speed, I get a quick loading screen there, but I should be able to fly to the planet and stuff like that. It'll take me 7 hours if I'm in the, that's just silly stuff. And it cuts the immersion. And seamless travel where things are happening, you can get into firefights and all that other stuff. That's if you're going to make exploration in vehicles part of that traveling, it has to feel seamless. And that's where they fail. And then also too, because of the whole tile dynamic where you're really not journeying to a planet, a seamless hunk of mass. You're journeying to select tiles at a time. So you have about 100 different, I know there's 1,000 planets, but when it comes to stuff with stuff on it, you have 100 different planets. That's not that, it's 100 different settings, and you get 4 tiles at a time on each setting. Unless a specific tile has a static mission part to it. All that slicing and dicing and breaking up, that cuts the immersion. That cuts the seamlessness of it, which That's not what a BSG game is supposed to be about. And that's not what you marketed to us. So therefore, being that you're breaking up that exploration and breaking up the seamlessness of it, I can't sit there and say this would ever be great, kick-ass 3 or Faction Excellent, but it's a damn good game. Like my game of the year that came out, Crisis 2, that was, I think we marked that like really good, between 87 and 89. I mean, that's the most I could see this game becoming, is an 87 or an 89. My game of the year, and that's not a bad score, especially coming from us. But people are like, no, this is the greatest game. Good friends like Doc Dark, who are like the 85%, doesn't make sense. That's insane. You must not have ever played a Bethesda game before. The immersion is totally broken up and fractured. Can you imagine? Like even GTA, even if they went to space, it wouldn't be this fractured. They understand the seamlessness of it all. And they can sit there and say, well, in real space, it would take you 7 hours to get from this distance to that. Well, don't warp speed me there. Warp speed me closer to the planet. The reason why they do that is because they're trying to supplement for loading or whatever they got to do the limitations of the game. That's not seamless. I guarantee you a Grand Theft Auto in space would be a lot more seamless. I bet you Star Wars Outlaws is going to be a lot more seamless in its space travel. And the traveling part is going to be more enjoyable. No Man's Sky, that part of it. We were sold something that would be at No Man's Sky's level as far as space traveling and exploration, or better, merged with the intense, dense, when I mean dense, I'm talking about as far as population of buildings, the intense and dense nature of a BSG game thrown in steroids. That's not what you have. You have an okay experience. Right now, I'm 12 hours in, that can change. But again, for the people that are losing their ish and claiming that this is nothing less than like a kick-ass or excellent experience. No, it's not. Is it worth experiencing? Yes. I definitely would say that. Hold on. So with that said, thank you everybody. I appreciate you. I gotta go now. That was my business call. Yeah, man, we're gonna continue to play this game and enjoy it. But I think it's an okay experience. And is it one worth experiencing? Yeah, it's on Gamepass. But go get it. You know, it's definitely, is it one worth? You know, is it worth the $70? I don't know. You know, but it's on Gamepass. Give it a try. Give it a try. You're being asked to give it a try for $15. Hell, if you go to CD Keys, you can try it out for $5, $6, $7, anywhere between $5 to $10. You can try it out. I definitely think it's worth a try. It may land differently for you, but here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm saying that this is how I feel about the game. And I know a lot of people feel this way about the game. They feel a lot, I think on average, people feel more good about this game than bad, especially when you recognize what the game is and what the game isn't. Here's what I'm not saying. I am not saying that if you don't put this in the top tier of standards, that you're hating on the game. That is bullpucky. Now, I've seen some extreme scores of 4s, and I think 10s are extreme too. There are people that authentically may feel that way personally as a gamer, and that's fine. But to sit there and feel like that this game, oh no, this game is a top tier game, and for everybody across the board, not necessarily everybody, but generally, no. If you give it a top tier score, that's fine. But I think the range is within, I think a fair range is within a 7 to 9 out of 10. I think that's a fair range. When you get any lesser than that, that may not be as fair, but that may be how people feel. I'm not mad at people that may give it a 6. I'm not mad at people that may give it a 10. But 7 to 9, I think is I think an adequate range of this game. Period. You know, we're closer than 7 than 9 right now in our gameplay, but we'll see. But yeah, that the 10 quadrant is cut off because fundamentally the exploration as advertised and as we know Bethesda can do is broken. It's broken. It's fundamentally broken. Their answer for it wasn't suffice based upon what our expectations were. And what should have happened is they should have just created a smaller game. You didn't need 1,000 planets. You didn't even need 100 planets that had stuff on them. I mean, if you would have just basically advertised this as Fallout in space and said, look, and just focus maybe on 30 to 50 planets that were densely populated. Hell, even 30 planets that were densely populated. If this is what you wanted to do, if you created 25 planets, for crying out loud, that you were responsible for, that were densely populated, left another 25 that were barren planets for modders and stuff like that, I think then this game, and then actually he made 25 whole planets where you took all the crap that was on those other 75 planets and just put it to those 25 and densely populated those planets. Then you have a game, I think, and then have worlds, not tiles, but worlds that you can journey, 25 whole worlds that you could journey. Oh, then yeah, absolutely. And have that same Bethesda charm and journeying, same denseness and intensity, then yes, you definitely have a 10. You know what I'm saying? But you messed up. You tried to go big, you went too big, and then your solution for going too big lowered the ceiling. You still have a great experience potentially, but you lowered your ceiling to that excellence that you tried to advertise. Wait it is. Let me go to Cold Blood. Cold Blood says, never disrespect Nintendo like that. Most is called Animal Crossing. Yeah, sorry about that. You bugging. Everything for now is barely a 7 and below. Nothing is an 8.5 worthy besides the soundtrack, which you don't care about at all. Steam reviews, it sits at a 73. That's the true score. Should be. I'm not mad. Like I said, it's between a 7 and a 10. I'm at a 7.8. Modders are going to add, yeah, for the loud, yeah. That's what those other barren planets are for. All right, but that says time for me to go. Until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We will be back with more gameplay and reviews. Peace.